Tonight on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, we've got the waiver show for week 3. Get ready to add some players. It's time for Garbage Time. Welcome into Garbage Time Fantasy Football. I'm your host, Ron Seymour, joined today by Joe McCann. How are you today, Joe?
Doing great. Well, I am 1-1 in our main leagues and am doing bad in our tournament leagues. So I am trying to flex, trying to make trades, trying to hustle, getting nowhere. How are you today, Ron?
I'm 1-1 in most leagues. I do have one league where I'm 0-2 and one league where I'm 2-0. So I mean,
mixed bag.
I'm about right down the center with my leagues right now.
Yes, sir. Guys, if you like what you hear on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, make sure to like and subscribe to the show. You can listen to us in audio form. It's on Apple, Spotify, Google, Pandora, Amazon, iHeartRadio. Tune in. Leave us voicemails at www.garbagetimef.com. Reach us at Instagram at Garbage Time Fantasy Football and on Instagram at Garbage_TimeFF. And you can reach Ron at his Twitter at HSSI Fantasy. Ron, you ready for some news?
Oh, hell yeah.
News updates.
Guys, if you have any waiver questions for us tonight, too, feel free to leave them down in the comments or in the comments after the show or on any of the social media platforms that I gave you. First little bit of news tonight that I've got for you, Ron, is the Seahawks are spiraling. Head coach Pete Carroll says the team needs to open up the passing game. Is this going to help with DK Metcalf going into the next few weeks?
No. I mean, he's at best a flex wide receiver right now. Getting the targets, but there's no yardage to be had. So I would still not count on him for anything big yet.
Yeah, no, he kind of still feels like a very low-end wide receiver, too, at this point. Pro Football Network's Aaron Wilson reports Giants head coach Brian Daboll and the general manager Joe Sheehan are playing their guys this season. So you being the Giants fan, what does that mean? Is it going to be Sterling Shepard, and are they just completely done with these other Giants wide receivers?
I think it's going to be they're done with some of them, and some of them are just, injury right now. I still fully believe that they're going to want to get Kadarius Toney involved. I can't foresee them not recognizing what everybody else in the industry recognizes, that Kadarius Toney is probably the most explosive wide receiver that they have on the roster. I would expect him to get involved once he comes back from injury, if he could fucking stay healthy.
Would you hold him, or is he a cut candidate?
I would. I mean, if you can hold him, I'd hold him, but I would cut him. Who knows? He's played, 2 full games in his entire career or something like that.
Yeah, I'm staring down the barrel of that decision, even going into tonight with our waivers currently coming up. Dalton Schultz is only expected to miss 1 game. Is this a good sign for him and the Cowboys offense, and are you still optimistic about his outlook for this season?
Yeah. 1 game. Hopefully that's all it is. If he comes back and is actually healthy, then he's kind of necessary. I know Michael Gallup is trending towards playing within the next couple weeks here. But as long as it's Cooper Rush for now, I would definitely think he's viable to play when he plays.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that too. Bucs signed wide receiver Cole Beasley to the team's practice squad. Is this nothing more than a late ad? And do you see the other receivers getting out of the field, maybe like Julio this upcoming weekend, or do you think it's just going to be complete, absolute shit from them this coming weekend?
Yeah, that team offensively scares me this upcoming weekend. Mike Evans is suspended for the game. They're saying Chris Godwin might play, but still a really risky play. Julio always gets injured. Then you got Russell Gage. They signed Cole Beasley to their practice squad, I believe. They might elevate him for game day, but I don't know. I'm not starting any of them. I wouldn't want to take the risk.
Would you play Jared Goff over Tom Brady this upcoming week?
Who are the Lions playing again?
The Lions are playing, let's see, one moment. Haven't even gotten that far into the week yet. I'm still working on my waiver wire. Lions schedule.
They play the
Lions
Vikings.
will be playing the Vikings. Oof.
That's despite of what the Eagles just did to them last night, I do believe. I mean, and let's be real. I mean, yeah, the Eagles crushed them, but they still only scored like 27 points. It's not like they went out and laid 50 points on this team. Jared Goff, I wouldn't want to start him, but I don't want to start Tom Brady either with the lack of weapons he have. But in the case of the two, I would take the guy that I know can make any wide receiver look good and still put up 300 yards and 2 TDs if he really needs to.
Well, there's absolutely no doubt. Tom Brady's thrown into a big pile of shit this weekend. All right, next little bit of news. Next little bit of news we have. This is more of a recap from last night. Some of the games. Another rookie wide receiver is showing out. Treylon Burks caught 4 of 6 and 47 yards against the Bills in a absolute barn burner. Just kidding. The Bills absolutely crushed him, but appears to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Titans going forward. So what's your thoughts on Treylon Burks and the other receivers in that Titans core?
I don't know. Still risky. Kyle Phillips, the other, rookie that showed out week 1, played, but, was injured all week. I still feel like if he's fully healthy, it might actually be Kyle Phillips who's the number 1 for the team. This team is going to have to get back to trying to get Derrick Henry more involved. It's just not working. They played a really tough Bills defense.
Yeah, it just seems there's some things definitely off with that team.
What
were you saying?
I wouldn't trust any of the wide receivers on that team right now.
No, you absolutely cannot. Yeah, things are definitely off with the Tennessee Titans. Like, something is completely off with Dalvin Cook. What the fuck is going on with him? 6 times for 17 yards in the week 2 loss against the Eagles.
That's another team that I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, it worked out good week 1, sure. But, like, when you have Dalvin Cook, you should be trying to establish the run, work the play action. That's where Kirk Cousins does the best. I mean, it'll be nice to have him if you need him, to throw 40 times a game, but Dalvin Cook should have damn near 20 touches, whether it be running or passing every game.
Well, they sure aren't doing it, and that caused me to lose to Josh Allen. So 0-2 in winner, and I'm pissed. People who own Devontae Smith and waited on him an extra week, though, seem to be back on pace with him. 7 for 7 per 80. Is he going to be a wide receiver 2 going forward in that what seems to be stable Eagles offense?
I mean, I wouldn't say a stable wide receiver 2, just because at any time it could be the A.J. Brown show.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust it just yet. I mean, he definitely could do it every week.
Right.
Like you said, this Eagles offense looks explosive. So I wouldn't be fighting to put him in my lineup over, any of the bigger name people, but you could do worse.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. You ready to get into some waiver wire pickups for this upcoming week? Doesn't seem to be a ton.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about number 6 touchdown man himself, Tua Tagovailoa. Are the Trey Lance owners spending all their fab on Tua Tagovailoa this upcoming week?
I'm so torn when it comes to Tua because, like, I feel like he could do this more frequently. Not so much the 6 touchdowns, but, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle who can take any play 80 yards to the house, you almost had to take a shot on him, right?
You would think so.
But
his ceiling's definitely gotten a lot higher, in my opinion, just off that performance. Like,
I don't know if I trust him enough to, spend too much of my fab on him. I think at any given week you could stream someone and maybe not make up all the points he gets, but do enough to win it.
Would you be more comfortable spending money on a lower ceiling option, more like a Jimmy Garoppolo, then where you're spending maybe less than 10% of your fab, or a lower waiver wire priority?
No, because I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo has the ceiling that Tua has. At least with Tua, now you know what the ceiling is.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
astronomical.
And
that's nobody's
Jimmy
ceiling.
G-
Nobody can consistently do that week to week.
Right. But I mean, he could have 4 touchdown games, maybe not 6, but I would bet money that he would have another 4 touchdown game this year.
Yeah, no, I think
he might have to this week against the Bills.
They may lose by 30. Who knows?
He might. Yeah. So it's a difficult thing with Tua because, I mean, you would say we expected this a little bit, right? When they went out and got Tyreek Hill, the whole thing was
I didn't really. This completely opened my eyes.
Yeah, you didn't, because you thought he was going to get benched for Jakobi Brissett, but
that was last year.
Anyone who thought that Tua was any type of good thought that with the addition of Tyreek Hill, he could make a serious increase in his numbers.
I don't even think the Dolphins knew what they had in Tua Tagovailoa. They've been flirting with Pro Bowl quarterbacks the last 3 seasons, whether it be Deshaun Watson or Tom Brady.
Yeah, I don't know. I had more faith in Tua. I did not expect him to ever throw 6 touchdowns in a game. But again, when you have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill that can explode any play, I mean, you got to expect big plays, which even if he only throws the ball 5 yards and they make a big play out of it, counts for him too.
Fair enough. If Carson Wentz is still out there somehow on your waiver wire too, you absolutely have to look at him. He has performed well in the last 2 seasons. And as much as Ron Rivera would like to say that defense is vaunted, they fall behind. So that is a good formula for Carson Wentz to be throwing this upcoming season. And he has established himself as a very low-end QB1 up to this point. And until further notice, you have to play him, I think. What's your thoughts on Carson Wentz?
Yeah, he's a must start right now. I feel like as soon as everyone decides he's a must start,
he's going to suck again.
Yeah, is when he'll show who Carson Wentz really is. But I mean, he's got the best wide receiver core that he's had in a while right now.
Yeah, no, it's vaunted. That's a vaunted part of your team.
Yeah.
At least that section. So, there's a lot of weapons, and you want a piece of that offense and a lot of different parameters.
Yeah.
Left on the quarterback list is Jared Goff and Marcus Mariota. Out of these 2 lower options, who would you rather have for the waiver wire?
I would rather have Goff.
Who are the Falcons playing this week?
Falcons are playing the Seahawks.
I think I'd rather have Marcus Mariota this week. I think you could get some good rushing options there. The Seattle Seahawks defense was absolutely exposed this upcoming week with the 49ers, and I think it would be a good option for him. I think I'd rather have Marcus Mariota just because of that rushing upside, and his weapons aren't terrible.
My problem is with Marcus Mariota, at any point, he could get benched for Desmond Ridder. At any point. He goes out in his first 3 drives and he throws an interception each one of those 3 drives. I would not be shocked if they brought Desmond Ridder in.
I think his leash is a little bit longer than you're portraying here. Yes, I like Desmond Ridder, and I think he will start maybe in a few weeks. But for this upcoming week, I think Marcus Mariota is a good sneaky start.
It just,
if you need
he
one
scares
off the
me.
waiver.
Where I know Jared Goff is going to be in that game the whole time. Like that's 100% a fact, unless outside of injury, obviously. But so
fair enough.
I would lean Goff.
Okay, and would you rather talk about the running backs now or the much larger list of the wide receivers?
Let's do running backs first, and then we'll get into the big list.
All right, this list is not very impressive this week, but the one who I believe is headlining it is Raheem Mostert for the Dolphins, who is now getting over 50% of the snaps. He is the speed back in that backfield, which is proven to be a very prolific offense up to this point. So what's your thoughts on Raheem Mostert going forward? Do you spend some fab on him, high waiver priority, or is this just a flash in the pan?
Yeah, he's a must add, definitely a high waiver priority. Probably a good chunk of your fab, 15% probably. You know, obviously you got to calculate the risk of injury. Plus Chase Edmonds is still there and getting work. So, but I still believe that what you saw this week will probably be more of the same. So I would 15% of your fab.
And what is your thoughts on the 31-year-old wonder, Mark Ingram, in the Saints backfield?
That's hard because as soon as Alvin Kamara comes back, he probably won't really do anything. That offense, I feel like they want to be pass heavy, and that's more Kamara's game. But if you have Kamara, I would get Ingram. But if you don't have Kamara, I'd probably just let him fly.
Okay. And are you adding Jordan Mason to your roster as a lower potential add, someone you could sit on your bench now that Tyrion Davis-Price is potentially going to be out for a few weeks and could get some opportunities there? Kind of feels like if their starting running back goes down, he could be in for quite a workload.
Yeah, if you want to do that, I mean, right now it's definitely Jeff Wilson is the main guy.
Yeah,
but you're right. If Jeff Wilson gets injured, then I think they're down to Jordan Mason. Also, though, they just elevated Marlon Mack from the practice squad. So, it's murky yet again. Like, did they bring in Marlon Mack just to be third on the depth chart behind those guys? Did they bring in Marlon Mack because they don't like what they see out of Jordan Mason? It's hard. I would almost, if you want to try to be sneaky and get him on your bench and take up your spot just in case, I suppose, but I'd rather wait and see who it's actually going to be if Jeff Wilson gets injured rather than take the shot now when you could pick up someone better that you could play now rather than a hopeful pickup.
Well, unfortunately, at the running back position this week, there's not a lot of players that you could potentially play as better. So this might be a look into the future week at the running back position. You may just have to go with what you got. So more names on this list, not nearly as exciting. Williams for the Cardinals seem to be the predominant backup for that team. So what's your feeling on Williams if James Conner was to miss?
Oh, if James Conner was to miss, I think he's the starter, and that's a all right offense. I'm not going to say explosive because it hasn't looked that way.
It's about a half a game kind of offense.
Yeah, but I mean, I would pick. I think Damien Williams, Darrell Williams. Which Williams is it?
Darrell Williams, I believe.
There's two. One for the Cardinals. I can never get those two straight.
Damien or Darrell.
Yeah,
one's in Atlanta. I would
definitely want to pick up Damien.
One's
Williams.
in Arizona. Yeah. Make sure you're actually picking up the right one when you're doing that. Lynn Wins from the Heckling Fandom. Make sure to like and subscribe to the show. Price of admission for answering these questions. Ingram, Logan Thomas, Conklin, or Hurst for starting tight end. Komet sucks. No, the whole Bears offense sucks.
Well, I mean, it's hard for a tight end to be good when the whole offense only passes 11 times a game. Like, that's
yeah, Lynn, we are actually getting to the tight ends later on the show, but guess what? We'll jump a little bit ahead just for your question here. Out of these options, mine is Logan Thomas. I am shocked that he's playing as well as he is coming off this injury, and that Washington Commanders offense is playing well the first two seasons, and the defense isn't that good, and they're going to be in passing down situations. I think in the order that I would look at, mine would be Logan Thomas, Hurst probably second because the Bengals offense absolutely just lets Burrow end up on his ass and security blanket to a quarterback that ends up on his ass is Hurst. And then probably Ingram and then Conklin. What's your order and what do you think of these guys?
I would go with Hurst just because of the offense. I know he doesn't got a lot of time, but I think they'll get that straightened around and stop trying to take every deep shot down the field. So you might see more dump offs to the tight end here in the coming weeks is what I would hope they would do. Ingram is getting a lot of targets, but I have a hard time trusting Evan Ingram, even being a former Giants player. I would probably go Hurst, Logan Thomas, Ingram, Conklin. I think I would put Conklin.
Here's another question for the Heckling Fandom.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Another thing I would like, Lynn Wins, let me know how you heard about us, if you just found us on YouTube or if you heard somewhere, just so we can figure out what's working and what's not working when we come to trying to grow our podcast.
Same thing goes for you, Caden of the Colts fan. Like and subscribe to the show. Should I trade Cooper Kupp for Javonte Williams? Should I trade Kupp and Javonte for Gabe Davis, Adams, and Swift? You're a big fan of a lot of these players, so what's your opinion on this run?
I mean, losing Kupp will be huge, but you're getting Gabe Davis and Devontae Adams, both of who can, I mean, maybe not have the same amount of targets Kupp has, but Gabe Davis is the deep play threat for probably one of the best offenses in the league right now. Devontae Adams has been getting peppered with targets, not so much in week 2, only a measly 18% target share for him compared to his 46%. I think at the end of the year, it'll be somewhere in the middle. Like you'll see more of a 25, 26% target share for Devontae Adams.
And Swift could be a top 2 back in this league if he stays healthy for this upcoming fantasy season.
Yeah. So, DeAndre Swift is, as of right now, because of how that Broncos offense is just spitting and sputtering, I think Swift is pretty far above Javonte Williams at the moment.
Fair enough. All right. Where were we with the waiver wire? I believe we had just talked about the 49ers backfield.
No, we just talked about the Cardinals.
Okay. Yep. And we already talked about Williams. So next one I have on this list is someone's role who is expanding, but I don't feel is very vaunted in the talent field. It's just more of the role that's going to be expanding. It's Tyler Algiere. The other Williams went on IR, and he got 10 carries this past week. And so what is your thoughts on Tyler Algiere as a potential waiver ad for this week?
It's a yes for me, Caden.
Yes.
Yeah, I would definitely make that trade.
Scream right at us. Keep us in line, Caden. What the hell?
Sometimes we get off track.
If only your wide receiving core can get on track there, Caden.
I missed it.
He's a Colts fan.
Oh, it says Colts fan right there. Oh, yeah.
You need Pity City back.
Garbage time. All right.
So anyway, what's your thoughts on Tyler Algiere?
What was the stats this week? I was
10
asleep for a lot.
10 carries.
It's a holding pattern. I think I'm on a holding pattern with Algiere. If you already got him on your team, I wouldn't cut him, but I also wouldn't. If you want to throw like a couple bucks, if you're doing fab, or maybe as one of your second or third options in your waiver priority, I wouldn't mind doing that. But I'm not going all in on Algiere yet. I would wait, a couple more weeks. He might end up taking over this backfield from Cordero, from everybody. So
Lynn Wine says that he thinks that he should do that trade too. I would too. And Caden the Colts fan comes in with his team. My team right now is Lamar, Kamara, Swift, Adams looking damn good right there. Mike Williams also looking good. Go there, Davis, if I make this trade. That's a pretty solid team. I like that.
That's a good team right there.
Absolutely. And the stats for this upcoming week, this past weekend for him, were 10 carries for 30 yards. So 3 yards a carry.
Yeah. So definitely a holding pattern. See what happens. I wouldn't go crazy with it.
All right. Let's move on to the wide receivers, unless there's another running back you want to talk about.
Nope.
All right. The first wide receiver I want to talk about is the one you want to blow all your load on. I mean, all your money. Garrett Wilson. So how much of your fab, or what is your waiver priority on Garrett Wilson, and what is his ceiling for the rest of the year?
As much as I want to douse this fire, I can't. Like,
it's a good one.
He's been targeted both games. Like the first 2 weeks, I think he's leading the league in red zone targets for any position. And he's just top 10 pick, got the draft capital. Joe Flacco loves him. My only thing that makes me weary about taking high priority on Garrett Wilson is, what will he look like when Zach Wilson comes back. You know what I mean? So he's looking great now. Could be great this week with Joe Flacco. Next week, probably Joe Flacco. I'm thinking week 4. But week 5, Zach Wilson comes back. And will he look right? Is he going to come back 100%? It's scary.
Will Zach Wilson favor his old targets?
Right. Yeah. But another thing we know about Zach Wilson is he does not target the running backs. Like he's looking to throw the ball to his wide receivers. That's what he likes. Definitely could have, increased, learned over the offseason that, running backs are good playmakers, get them involved. But most of the time when you see someone who just doesn't target running backs, they just don't target running backs.
Well, here's an interesting stat from this past weekend. And I think this will play into Garrett Wilson being consistent for the entire year and maybe having, I don't think the ceiling of a Justin Jefferson kind of rookie year, but a very good rookie year. High-end wide receiver 2 kind of rookie year is he got more separation than any of the wide receivers from this past week. When you're getting separation and you're open, it doesn't matter who the wide receiver is. The quarterback is going to target you, especially someone with Zach Wilson who's got an arm. You get separation, he's going to get you the ball. I think you could see him come down to earth a little bit because I think Elijah Moore is his favorite target currently. But for this upcoming week, look for the gasoline to get poured on Garrett Wilson again, I think, in that Bengals game. So you can completely believe in him, and I think you could spend a lot of fab on him and get a high-end wide receiver too.
Yeah. I definitely think you need him on your team. Don't be surprised if halfway through the year his numbers tank a little bit.
I don't think we're going to see them tank. Anyway, if Jahan Dotson is also still in your waiver wire, I don't know what the hell he's not doing in the team. Pick him up. He's definitely on the lower end of waiver wire priorities because he's probably on most people's rosters. But take a look. Josh Palmer is also out there. It's already someone we've already covered as of last week with potentially their starter coming back. I wanted to get your thoughts on Palmer a little bit. So what do you think of him with Keenan Allen potentially coming back this week or next week?
If Keenan Allen's back, I think he's still an all right flex play, but I wouldn't expect huge things out of him. I mean, we didn't even see, he saved his game last week with a touchdown. But he had a lot of targets. He just, it wasn't there. So if Keenan Allen is out, he's a definite start. If Keenan Allen is in, he's a flex play if you don't have anything better. Like if Keenan Allen plays, I'd probably play Garrett Wilson over Josh Palmer. If Keenan Allen isn't playing, I would probably flip that.
I think in this upcoming week, I'd play Keenan Allen. I would pay Garrett Wilson over Keenan Allen just because he's coming off an injury. That's how well I think he's going to play this upcoming week. I think I would sit Keenan Allen on the bench or move him lower down my lineup in favor of Garrett Wilson this upcoming week. All right, so let's get your thoughts on the favorite target of the New York Giants, Sterling Shepard, who got targeted 10 times this past weekend. So what is your thoughts on Sterling Shepard, and where do you put him in waiver wire priority for the wide receiver position?
I think that's what you're going to see until Wan'Dale Robinson comes back at least. Daniel Jones knows Sterling Shepard. It's obvious they want to get him involved. However, this is a Giants offense that revolves around one man, and that's Saquon Barkley.
I think he's a PPR monster currently.
He is a PPR monster. He's definitely got to be on a team. Definitely could be thrown in your flex. His floor is there. You know what I mean? It's very unlikely that he's going to get you 0. So he's a good floor play, but the upside really isn't there. Week 1, we saw him catch that long bomb touchdown, but I wouldn't expect too much of that throughout the year.
And what's your thoughts on Nelson Agholor's 100-yard game for the New England Patriots? Is this a committee wide receiver room?
I still do not want any part of New England wide receivers unless it is Jakobi Meyers in a PPR format.
Agreed. All right. What about Greg Dortch? 55 yards and a touchdown. He seems to be a part of that Cardinals offense. The name does not intrigue me because he just seems to be – he kind of is in that Tim Patrick kind of mold, but he's producing. So what's our thoughts on Greg Dortch performing 2 weeks in a row?
On your roster until
further notice.
DeAndre Hopkins comes back.
All right. And is it time to roster Michael Gallup if he is not on your roster currently or on anyone's roster? It seems like it's almost time for him to come back.
Yeah, but even when he comes back, is he actually going to be 100%, or are the Cowboys trying to rush him back because they realize that this offense, despite winning last week, really didn't look that great?
Their defense did.
Their defense looks amazing, and it's going to give the offense a lot of short fields. But for fantasy, you don't necessarily want your offense to have short fields. Yes, it increases touchdown chance, but greatly decreases any yardage.
I think you can throw him into your IR just like Brian Robinson is currently on your IR.
Yeah.
Not a bad option.
If you have an IR.
And oddly enough this year, with similar injuries, wide receivers and running backs have come back and produced very well on those injuries. So maybe the surgeries are starting to get better. It's really impressive. Like Sterling Shepard, as an example, got injured in December and he's producing. Insane. Next player I'd like to talk about, Noah Brown, until Gallup's back, I guess, 99 yards. Is he another weekly rental?
Scary flex play.
Okay.
Scary. Because you got to remember it is Cooper Rush. Yes, he looked good last week, but people didn't have any tape on him. Now people are going to have tape on him. I wouldn't expect Cooper Rush to be as good. However, they're going against the Giants, so maybe he will be.
Who knows? All right. Any other wide receivers that I've missed, or are you ready for the tight end and defenses?
Tight end and defenses.
All right. So obviously, if you have Cole Kmet, you're dropping him at this point, right?
Yes.
And are you dropping him in favor of Irv Smith, who almost caught a 60-yard bomb down the field, who seems to be athletic and getting involved in the Vikings offense?
Yeah, Irv Smith is definitely a should-be roster type of guy. Definitely involved in this offense, even more so than Adam Thielen. So it might be the Justin Jefferson, Irv Smith show. We'll see going forward. But week one, they even said after the game, like, they wanted to bring him in slowly. I think you'll see more of what you saw this week, where he was getting quite a few targets, and he's capable of doing that. Like that 60-yard bomb touchdown. He's capable of those things. So not many tight ends in the league are.
No, absolutely not. And Thielen's straight up pissing me off right now. All right, Logan Thomas, 5 targets, 37 yards, and a touchdown. Is he going to be a piece of this Commanders offense going forward?
It's getting to the point where it's hard because you got Terry McLaurin, John Dotson, Curtis Samuel, and now the tight end. Like Carson Wentz has been playing well, but he's not going to support that many fantasy relevant people.
He won't, but are you taking the shot on Logan Thomas breaking your heart again? Because, I mean, the tight end position is just not performing this year.
I can't take that shot. Not after one game, no.
So you're more willing to take a shot on, say, the third one on my list here, Hayden Hurst?
Yes. Just because, like I said earlier, I do think that the Bengals realize, okay, our offensive line is not what we paid for. And people don't accept returns in the NFL. So
we're not Walmart.
So they're going to have to deal with it. And I think one of the ways they deal with it is you'll see more receptions for the tight end and or Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, those running backs out of the backfield to try to open up those bomb plays that they just keep trying to make happen.
They just haven't fallen
yet. They don't
yet,
have the time.
They're playing the Jets this week. It might happen this week.
Yeah.
And what is our thoughts on Mr. Stonehands himself?
I hear you.
For the Jaguars.
Every time you play that sound, your voice doesn't come through.
Oh, that's nice. I was talking about Devon Ingram, so you didn't need to know what I was talking about. I play that song, you instantly know I'm talking about Evan Ingram.
Well, that doesn't make sense for your stone hands comment, though, because that's a slow runner, and Evan Ingram is not a slow runner.
No, but his arms still move slow when they're coming up to the ball, so.
So his arms are... So, he's running everything fine, but as soon as he starts putting hands up, don't.
But anyway,
slightly
proving me wrong up to this point, and I think his expectations were low going into the season. What's your thoughts on Devon Ingram off the waiver wire this week?
You could do worse, but this Jacksonville Jaguars offense, Christian Kirk gets a lot of targets. I just don't foresee Evan Ingram being an every week start like that. And I don't think he gets that many touchdowns that you'll be chasing. So I still wouldn't want him on my roster.
What about Tyler Conklin, who got 9 targets again this past weekend? Seems to be having a fumbling issue, though.
The Jets are not going to pass at this rate that they're passing right now. It's all fun right now. Joe Flacco's number 3 with pass attempts and yardage and all that fun stuff. But
he's number 1 in pass attempts right now.
Number 1, yeah. That's not going to be the same. Like, that's not how they want to play football, I don't think.
Jet, don't be mad because your team's 2-0 and not getting all the attention right now.
Don't care. We're going to be – I'm not going to say it because we're not going to be 3-0. The Dallas defense is going to destroy us.
And last tight end, what's your thoughts on Mike Gesicki and that Miami Dolphins offense? It doesn't seem there's a lot to feed after him, but he is a third weapon in that Dolphins offense. So any chance you're playing Gesicki?
You're only playing Gesicki to try to get the touchdown upside. And like I said earlier, they're not going to throw for 6 touchdowns every game. And I would expect Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill to get most of the touchdowns. So it'd be a hard, if it looks like it's going to be a high scoring game like this week, you might be able to start Mike Gesicki because they're probably going to have to throw the ball a lot to keep pace with the Buffalo Bills. So this week it might be a good stream, but I wouldn't spend too much fab or waste a waiver priority on him.
All right, and let's get into the defenses, and I'm going to make you pick your defensive dominator out of the waiver wire. My defensive dominator of the week is the Dallas Cowboys defense going up against the Giants and someone who you could potentially pick off of waivers. Ron, are they your number 1 waiver priority this week, or is it your Giants defense going up against the Cowboys?
No, definitely not the Giants defense. Not until Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari are back. And then maybe, because I think our pass rush will be very good once we get those 2 guys back. Mm-hmm. I was not prepared for this at all.
I just completely threw this into last time because I saw the defensive dominator button.
if I'm being completely honest, I'm not prepared in the slightest. But
you could potentially go with the Chargers defense too, because they're only owned in 50% of leagues after they got dropped.
Oh, really?
Chiefs, yes.
Oh, then yeah, Chargers. I would go Chargers. I would assume those were already on most leagues, so I wasn't going to pick them. But yeah, Chargers definitely against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, no, a lot of teams rage quit on them after the Chiefs game last week.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and all of these you can get off of waivers too. And one more I wanted to talk about, very interesting one. The Commanders score very high, but Carson Wentz makes a lot of mistakes. Philadelphia against the Commanders could be a potential good option too if your league is predominant on turnovers, because the Philadelphia defense likes to get turnovers, especially Darius Slay. So you could potentially get them off waivers going against the Commanders, and I think that's a decent option if you're streaming your defense. What's your thoughts on the Philadelphia defense, Ron?
Yeah, they could crush the Manders and make the Manders look real silly.
They could, or the Manders could rise to the occasion, because I really like the Manders and I'm becoming a fan of that offense. Didn't think I would like them this year, but you got to root for a team that's like such an underdog. It's nice to see them in Detroit having nice offenses up to this point.
Yep.
Any other defenses you wanted to cover before we got out of here, Ron?
No, I think that's about it.
Guys, if you like what you hear on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Again, like and subscribe. Leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts. That's Ron Stick. He likes to tell you to do that, so do that too. The reviews help us in the audio formats. You can also listen to us in audio formats on Spotify, Google, Pandora, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and as I already said, Apple. Leave us voice and hate mails at www.garbagetimeff.com. All you have to do is go to the right side of your screen, click it, talk into your laptop or phone, and we will play them live on the show. If you also leave us comments, we will play them live on the show during the live portions of the show. We will answer your comments after the show and potentially play them on the next show. You can also reach us on Instagram at Garbage Time Fantasy Football and Garbage_TimeFF on Instagram. And if you'd like to talk to Ron, you can talk to him at HSSI Fantasy on Twitter. Ron, anything to say to the Heckling Fandom before we get out of here?
No, just make sure you're like and subscribe and reviews over on Apple. Really help us out.
Listen out for our awesome new advertisements too on some podcasts and audio formats coming out to you. Have a good night.